Last week we were talking about these local heroes, and every town or city and village has got one, I think. There's one who works, well, doesn't he? I don't think he even works, but kind of is near Radio 1. We see him all the time. We call him Mr. Chuggage because he just sits all day, every day, outside all the cafes near Radio 1. In the morning he's there with a coffee, at lunchtime he's there with a beer, when we go home at the end of the day he's there with a champagne. And he doesn't do anything. We don't see him work ever, but he's dressed beautifully. He looks really smart, he's got an amazing car. We just think that he's like a pop star from the 80s who wrote one record and never needs to work ever again. And you kind of make up these stories about people. In Norwich, there's a famous puppet man who we were obsessed with when we were at uni. He was there every Saturday outside Primark with puppets, and he drew a huge crowd. He had his ghetto blaster on, he was just dancing with puppets every Saturday. There's a guy in Shipley called the Shipley Dancer, who loads of people got in touch about and said, yes, I've seen him, he just dances everywhere and holds up traffic. And Mark in his van today says, I think I've just passed the Shipley Dancer on the Bingley Road. He had a hoodie on and was clapping and dancing and coming up with a new funky dance routine. Well, that was probably him. Well spotted, Mark. And good afternoon, Steve.
How are you doing, Greg? All right?
I'm very good. Now, you sent me an email over the weekend. What's going on?
Yes, I did. My hometown is Stanley in County Durham. There's a massive local hero, goes by the name of Stanley Elvis.
Stanley Elvis. Now, is he an Elvis impersonator?
He's not an impersonator, he's just a massive karaoke enthusiast. So any local karaoke in the area, pub or club, he'll be there. Sometimes turns up just as with his guitar to do an acoustic version. He's that well known, my mate tried to book a set for him for his wedding, but I think his fiancée put a foot down over that one.
Okay. When did you first sort of encounter Stanley Elvis?
Yeah. I was about, of legal drinking age in the Stanley area. I was probably about 18, about 7 years ago. And basically I went home about 2 weeks ago, and he was still there. Still going to the same bars and doing the old karaoke. Well,
Steve, he's been a big part of your life for quite a while now, hasn't he?
Well, he has, yeah. I've never even spoken to the guy, but he's still an absolute legend.
Okay, so everyone in Stanley will know Stanley Elvis, yeah?
Every single person in Stanley knows who Stanley Elvis is, yeah.
Okay, well, we've actually got some of the music of Stanley Elvis that we found thanks to your link. You sent us a link to his website, so thank you. This is his version of The Climb.
Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaking, but I gotta keep trying. Gotta keep my head held high. So it's gonna be another mountain. Most gonna wanna make it a move. Oh, it's gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's a climb.
I mean, Steve, it's quite something, isn't it?
How can you not like that?
Well, yeah, you make a good point. I mean, it's quite high, the voice, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a bit Bee Gees-esque, but still, it's distinctive, isn't it?
So, how old is this guy? Try and describe him. What does he look like?
Oh, God. Of average height, shaved head. He used to have massive big sideburns, which I'm guessing where the Stanley Elvis part comes from. You can often be seen on his bike around the town as well.
Really?
Yeah, he bikes everywhere. He bikes all over County Durham, I think.
Well, it does sound great. So he's sort of got some albums that you've tried to get a hold of and stuff, yeah?
Yeah, my mum's husband does the karaoke as well. And I seen him last Sunday and he gave us a copy of his old album, Sharp Dressed Man, it's called.
Of course it is.
So I think he's got a new one coming out as well, so I'll have to pre-order that one.
I'll tell you what, well, Adele has been at the top of the album chart for so long now, we could do with a new rival.
Well, that's it. Watch out, Adele.
That's it. Stanley Elvis is on your tail. All right, well, thank you, Steve. Keep us updated on more stuff from Stanley Elvis. And to finish off this little segment, we will hear his version of The Killers and Human. Thank you very much, Steve.
Brilliant, Greg. Cheers.
All together.
Are we human? Or are we dancers?
Don't pretend you don't like it.